bottom, your job is to gauge public sentiment via social media. So does that mean you can tell us who's going to win tonight?
Oh, I wish I could. I don't know if it would go that far, but it's certainly something we've been looking at for a long time. It started in March. And since then, we've looked at about 2.5 million, analyzed the language around 2.5 million posts relative to supporters for President Trump or Vice President Biden in battleground states, and analyzed over 60 million words. So we certainly got an interesting read on the electorate this year through this new kind of social intelligence technology. And I think it's going to be an exciting night to see kind of how that translates to actual votes.
Now, you're measuring things like voter intent in battleground states. What are some of the trends you're seeing that stand out to you?
Yeah, that's right. We're looking at all kinds of word usage patterns, sentiment analysis for how people talk about candidates positively and negatively. One of the things we saw with this race was there was this very static period for a long time when kind of the economy shut down relative to COVID, and people were dealing with that kind of change of lifestyle relative to the support for each of the candidates and the issues around it. It really dominated the conversation. We went through this very, very dynamic period very quickly and abruptly in the race, where we moved from issue to issue right around Justice Ginsburg's passing in the Supreme Court vacancy, which was a great moment for Republicans relative to the support and the energy the base had around that moment in time. That quickly transitioned into a moment in time around the first debate and some issues that came out of that around white supremacy and kind of racial issues back in the mix relative to the performance there. And ultimately back into President Trump's COVID diagnosis, and then back into the Supreme Court issue. And those moments, that real quick moment in time, really shook up the race, ebbs and flowed for positive moments for President Trump and positive moments for President Biden, Vice President Biden. And it's really kind of, as we come out of that, as we move to Election Day, kind of flattened back out, where we've seen a higher level of support for the Democratic candidates and Democrats in general online with some of the comments compared to Republicans. And it's really kind of flattened that back out to where we are now moving into Election Day.
Now, meantime, the platforms themselves have been doing a lot of evolving of their own policies. For example, YouTube working to deprioritize fringe channels, but then ultimately leading to a boost for Fox News. President Trump's page, Fox News page on Facebook are the most popular news pages on the platform. How has your strategy evolved as these platform strategies have evolved? And have you noticed any kind of particular political bent to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, and those are all the platforms that we really look at. We have a data feed into Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube comments, and those types of things. Facebook tends to be a little bit more conservative, much more conservative. It's also much more limited in the access we have from a public-facing data point of view for this type of analysis. Twitter and Reddit tend to be a little bit more independent and liberal and younger in their use patterns, and those two things kind of balance themselves out. But I think the usage of them. Twitter with limiting their ability to run paid media has kind of changed a lot of the strategy in that channel to a more organic type of approach, which you see President Trump do well in, obviously with his reach and some of the other conservative figures on there. But the usage pool tends to be a little bit younger and more liberal. On the Facebook side, it's really a strong platform for direct response type of advertising, fundraising, acquisition kind of campaigns. And I think you've seen both campaigns really, really leverage Facebook in dramatic ways in terms of dollars spent there for those types of things. I think if Facebook would have taken the same approach as Twitter and shut down access to paid advertising, it would have had a much, much greater impact on campaigns than maybe what Twitter had there.